Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we begin, I just want to wish everyone Happy New Year and hope that this year will be an amazing year for you and also for all of us. Alright, so in today's video, I would like to share with you how you can query daily holders for tokens and NFTs on Solana. Now, this is my first video on Solana, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I mainly make EVM content, so there are a lot of stuff on Solana that I am unfamiliar with. But this table I am familiar with, so happy to share this with you guys today. So one of the queries I see people doing a lot is they are calculating the um, current holders, right? They're calculating current holders of a particular token by using the transfers table, right? So a typical query will look something like, I'm just gonna roughly write it out, right? Transfers in, and then they use the Solana transfers table, and then if it's to address, then amount, and then if it's from address, uh, minus amount, right? So you sort of get the sum of all the ins and outs of a particular token on Solana, and do all this summation, and you should be able to get the current holders, right? But all this work is actually, I would say, unnecessary because there's already a table on Solana called, let's see if we can find it, um, token balances, right? So I have token balances and SOL balances, and essentially, whenever there is a transfer or whenever there is a um, difference in balance of token, uh, the balances pre and after the transaction is recorded. Okay, and what this means is that you can already get a balance of a particular address without going through all the transfers, without summing through transfers from the beginning of time all the way to today. Instead, you can just say, okay, what is the latest balance for this particular address? And that simple query will take you very fast to run and a lot more efficient than using transfers. So we're going to apply the same concept of using the token balances table and apply it to looking at daily holders. So current holders would be very easy because you would just look at the latest entry of this table per address. But how do you go about doing daily holders, right? Um, Maybe before we get in, just want to show you what the table looks like, right? So do a quick select star. Okay, so you have the owner, right? The address, the actual address, and then mint would be the token address, and then you have the pre and the I guess post, right? Before the transaction, what was the balance? After the transaction, what's the balance? So you use the balance to be able to get whether it's daily balance or latest balance, right? So this is the column we want to use, and also we will be using owner and block timestamp. Okay, yeah. So basically that's the table. Now let's go to the query. I actually already written out the query and also already ran it. Um, took me takes on average about 30 seconds to run. I mean, given that I'm only looking in December, but still. Before I continue, this is taken from Arcec. So Arcec on Twitter, check it out. He is currently bull posting Pengu stats daily. But I saw that he has this query of daily Pengu holders, and he was using token transfers, basically the Solana transfers table, to get the daily holders based on the amount of holdings. And it simply, it took too long to run. And I showed him that you can basically just use the token balances table. It's more accurate and it runs in like less than 30 seconds, right? So yeah, basically this is the query. If you've watched my um, daily holder video on EVM is actually applying the same concept, where in that video I talk about you having like a spreadsheet, and then being able to map out every day, being able to map out all the days for every address, or yeah, each address having all of the possible days, right? That's the main concept. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, do watch the video, but I'm also going to explain here in this video. So first, we of course have the raw token balances table. Nothing special here. First, I also filter for a date where I know that the token is created, or even before it's created, you can choose any date, but it has to be a date where it on the day the token is created or before it's created. And then mint would be the token address itself. In this case, this mint is the mint address for the Pengu token, right? The Pudgy Penguins recently released token, Pengu. And then I did this qualify here, which basically states, wait, let me see, what's this? Yeah, so um, when in the token balances table, let's say you make several transactions a day, right? Let's say you bought Pango multiple times a day. Now, because you bought it multiple times a day, there will be multiple entries of your uh, account in the token balances table, showing you the balance each time you make the transaction, right? So in our case, all we're interested in is the latest balance for each day. Okay, again, because again, our goal here is the daily balance. And so I have this qualify statement, which basically just states for each day and each owner, give me the latest entry. Yeah, give me only just give me the latest entry basically, right? And this is what this qualify row number thing does for you. And so you can imagine if you have a bunch of transactions for a particular token for a given single day, it will only grab the latest balance of that token of your account for that day. And this is makes calculation for daily holders much more simpler, right? So that's what this token balances CTE is about. And then this is where the concept comes in, right? We would want all days and also all owners so that we can do a cross join. Um, yeah, I showed this in the first video, so let me show it again. So a cross join would be, let's say I have all the dates here. Let's say this is like Gen 1, Gen 2, right, Gen 3, Gen 4, so on and so forth. And then here would be all the possible owners, right? Alice, Bob, cat, dog, right? Elephant. L, right? Okay. So we want Alice to have all dates and all of January 1 to have all names. And to do this, we cross join all the possible names with all the possible dates. And so that's what this two query is doing. We have owners, which is getting all the names, right? Alice, Bob. And then all dates, which is just getting all the dates from here to whatever, right? And you will notice that we are taking from this table called crosschain.coredeemdates. Now, you can look it up. This table is this here, right? Crosschain, and then look it up. It has all the possible dates, so very useful table. You don't have to generate your own dates. And so I'm just saying, give me all the dates from uh, December 16, 2024, which is the same as this one over here, right, where the token is minted. And then I'll do this cross join, right? Dates cross join owners, right? Or owners cross join dates, the same thing. Essentially, it gives me this spreadsheet of all the names and all the dates. So at any possible date, I know what is the balance for Alice or what is the balance for Bob. And then I have this thing called daily join. So if you look at the query, it says daily join from all dates, which is our spreadsheet earlier, left join raw on day and owner. So left join raw. So meaning there could be days where Alice and Bob had a change in balance in the Pengu, and so I'm left joining to see what are those days. So here's an example, right? So let's say on January 1 is where the token is minted, and so let's say Alice has 100 Pengu, Bob has 0, cat maybe 10, right? Dog maybe 20, L maybe 0. So when I'm left joining it on owner and day, essentially this is what I get, right? I get, on some days there is a change in balance. Let's say Alice, cat and dog, right, had a change in balance. On other days like Bob on January 1 and L on January 1, they have no changes in their balances, and so they will appear as null when you left join. So now my goal is to then, after I've left join, you know what? Maybe I'll just left join just to show you what it looks like. So let's say on January 2, Bob did acquire some tokens, and then maybe Dog on January 3rd sell off their tokens, and then maybe L bought tokens, right? So after left joining, this is what my balance looks like, my table looks like, and I want to know on January 4th, let's say, which is today, what is their final balance. So a few things we need to do. One, we need to say whenever the day is null, right? In this case, there are no entries here. Take the previous day entry, right? Because if there's no change in balance in Alice's account, that means the number of Pengu tokens are still the same, right? And so we want to be able to take that balance. So that's what we're doing, right? We are, asking, hey, what's the previous date where there is a last balance, right? In this case, it's 100, January 1 or 100. And so doing this look back is what this is about, right? If balance is null, lag balance, which is just means look at the previous entry. Ignore nulls over means if there are multiple nulls, just get me the most recent one, ignore all the nulls. And partition by owner because we only want Alice's balance be affected by Alice's balance, right? And then order by day ascending because, of course, for January 2's balance, I need to refer to January 1. So that's why I'm ordering it by ascending. If it's not null, take the balance. So if there is an entry, use the entry. If there is no entry, look at the previous day's entry, essentially. And ignore nulls. This ignore nulls, where it makes sense is, for example, on January 3rd, it would try to look back January 2nd. In this case, January 2nd was still 0. And January 3rd said, okay, ignore null, so I will ignore January 2nd and look back again. And the first non-null entry is January 1. So in this case, January 3rd would inherit the value of January 1. So if you just do the same logic for all this will all just be 100, right? Because there's no change in balance. January 2nd, Bob finally purchased Pengu and did no changes after, so this is still 2020. Same goes to Cat, right? Cat bought 10 on January 1, made no changes, so all this is 10. Dog, now this is where it gets interesting. On January 2nd, Dog made, on January 1st, Dog made, they bought 20. On January 2nd, there's no changes, and so this would inherit 20. But on January 3rd, they sold all of their Pengu tokens, and so it's 0, right? It's recorded in the token balances table, 0. And so January 4 is null. So if you look back to January 3rd, is 0. So January 4 inherits 0. And then L, all this would be 0. And then January 4 would inherit January 3rd, so 30. So essentially, that's just it, right? We would use the token balances table, get the balances, and then just look back if it's null. And you can ignore all this, but up until here is all the query you need to be able to fill the holes. So now you can do this CTE where you say, get me the what is the daily balance? Right? How many holders are there daily? And you would just do this count of the number of holders where the balance is more than 0. And so you do a group by, and this would be, this exact query would just give you the total, daily holders, right? Very straightforward. Yeah. You can also try it out on yourself, right? Change the mint to another token, change the date to a date where the token was minted, and then see what is the daily holders. Now, Arcec here did one step further and sort of categorize the balance by, I guess, they put them into different categories, right? There is the 10K, below 10K category, 10K to 100K, 100K to a million, right? So on and so forth. You can, of course, do this as well, and this is how you would do it. And then this would be the categories. Yeah, it's counting the number of people per category, right? It's the same concept. And yeah, the results looks very nice, right? Where you would see all the buckets of people. In this case, the buckets are very big for some categories, so that tells me that maybe the category creation is not that great, right? Um, Instead, what I would do is I would use percentile, right? In Snowflake, there's a function called percentile. I forgot the name actually, but yeah, you can look it up. Snowflake percentile function, and then it just makes the distribution more, I guess, easier to see. Okay. Anyways, yeah, that's all the SQL you need to be able to get daily balance for Pengu holders. Right? You just get all the days, all the owners, cross join, left join with the token balances table, and then do this activity of filling in the gap, which is this if balance is null, right? This thing over here. Okay, awesome. And then I want to quickly jump into how you can replicate this for not just regular tokens, you can also replicate this for NFTs. So I have two queries here. The first one is NFT. Both of those are NFTs, and the first one here is it's an NFT collection called Pythonians. Shout out to Ravel. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But basically, uh, they were looking for ways to get the daily holders of this NFT, and I thought like, hey, you know, exactly what I wanted to show. So why not? So I wrote this query, but I got this from them, which is basically like how to get all of the collections, how to get all the mints from the Pythonians collection, right? This table called Solana NFT dim NFT metadata, and then um, this gives you all the mint. And similar to the Pango token, where we did owners multiplied by days, in this case, we do the other way around, right? Where we do the mint cross join with days. And actually, you can also do owner multiplied by days, and then just do the count how many mints is still how many mints is more than 0, right? That works totally fine. But I'm just presenting you another way of doing it, which is you go by the mint and day route. So mint and day, what this means is now instead of having Alice and Bob, oops. Now this is token ID or mint number. I'm just gonna call it token ID because it's easier, right? Right, token ID is 1 to 5, and you want to know who owns token ID 1 to 5 on any given day. Who is the current owner? So, for example, this could be Alice, and then maybe Bob owns it at some point, and then maybe Alice owns it again here, right? And so, same thing, right? If January 2nd is null, get the previous owner. In this case, it's Alice, and then it's Alice all the way, right? On January 4th, it's null again. Look back, Alice. Boom. Simple as that, right? So that's exactly the way, the concept here, right? So I'm looking at token balances. I'm filtering for the Pythonian's collection only. I'm doing the same qualify where, you know, partition by day and mint instead of owner. I'm doing the daily join. I'm doing the uh, final select all CTE, and I'm doing the same if thing, right? If the owner is null, right? If the owner is null, look at the previous day's owner, uh, and then record that. And then this would be the query to get the daily number of holders. Now the cool thing about this query is that you can do a bunch of things, right? Like I mentioned before, you can look at balance by category and then sort of make this chart, right? How many holders by category. You can also do who are the current holders. Now you can do this actually without going through all these steps, like a much easier query, looking at just the token balances table. But I'm just showing you like what you can do, and yeah, bunch of things you can do. Uh, yeah, probably for NFTs, the one that makes sense is doing the daily holders, and then yeah, for regular tokens like Pengu, this makes sense. Okay, before I move on, no, rather than moving on, one more thing I want to show you is that uh, how do you know like if you've gotten the right collection from the metadata, right? Like how do you know? I like to refer to other sources. So let's say I go to Tensor, right, and then I search for, let's say, matlets, right, and I would sort of just click on one and then find the mint. For example, this one over here, find the mint, which is this, and then let's look at the NFT. Right, this table, and I'll sort of paste the mint here, where mint is this, right, and this mint is the matlets that we just copied, and this would tell me the information that we need to be able to get all the mints from the matlets collection. And yeah, in this case I would use the collection ID, right? One more thing I would uh, caution you guys on is on using the collection name, because if you just look at matlets collection name, there'll be a bunch of different I guess fake matlets, and so always use like a particular identifier and make sure that the query that you're using looks right. So in this case, let's say this is my collection ID. So where collection ID is this. And I'm expecting 9968, but I think I got 9969. So I don't know where's the discrepancy, right? Maybe there is one row where it's just saying the collection name. You have to find it out. But this also ensures that I mean, this number being one of the supply here tells me that uh, this collection ID is the right one to use. In the case of Pythonians, um, I believe there is no collection ID. So let's just query that. So again, Pythonians, oops, this one, and then click on anyone, right? Click the mint, and then go back to my query. Min is this. Oops. Yeah, so in this case, there's no collection ID, right? So how Ravel filtered it is by using the authority, and yeah, this just gives the correct number of mints for this collection. But this is one area that I'm not sure of, right? So you have to do more due diligence as to whether or not which method works for you best for your given NFT collection. I just did the same thing with MATLABs just to ensure that the daily owners looks right, and yeah, it does. The number looks right, and yeah, I think that's it. So long story short, you can use the token balances table to look at both, tokens like Pengu and also NFTs to get the daily holders. And yeah, I think that's it from me. I will of course link all these links in the video description. And thank you again for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.